Okay, let's unpack this. Our deep dive today tackles a really fascinating comparison. We're looking at two ancient traditions focused on internal, spiritual fidelity, the Druze faith and Freemasonry.
Exactly. The topic is loyalty to the path. Specifically, we're comparing the Druze ninth teaching of Todded and the Masonic obligation. And our sources, they treat loyalty not just as like showing up or following rules, but as a deep esoteric covenant, something that binds the soul itself to divine unity. We're digging for the common threads here, how these hidden paths demand just unwavering commitment.
Right. We've got some rich synthesized material here. We'll explore symbolism, ethical conduct, and importantly, what happens when that loyalty gets tested. Get ready for some, potential aha moments about what taking a spiritual vow truly means. Okay, section 1. The core covenant. Let's define Todded and the obligation. So this is where it's really interesting. In the Druze tradition, Todded goes way beyond just common monotheism. The sources define it as the active realization and the maintenance of unity.
Right, and that unity is multi-layered.
Exactly. Unity between the soul and the divine, unity between your inner and outer self, and unity between your individual destiny and the cosmic order. Loyalty here is basically existential alignment.
That's a great way to put it. The path itself is described as hidden, silent, narrow, often walked alone. So to betray this path isn't just breaking a promise. It's like fracturing the soul's connection, its alignment with that divine unity. It's a lifelong thing.
A lifelong commitment. Wow. And then in parallel, we have Freemasonry emphasizing the obligation. This is that solemn vow, a spiritual pact, as you said, taken of my own free will and accord, sworn on the volume of sacred law, witnessed by God and the lodge members.
Yes.
It binds the Mason to this lifelong work of self-transformation, service, and truth.
And what's so fascinating here, right off the bat, is how both systems establish this fidelity. It's not a formality. It's an oath binding the soul itself, whether to the great architect of the universe or to that cosmic order.
Yeah.
The commitment level is profound.
Okay, so that's the core idea. But what does this look like day to day? Section 2, loyalty in action conduct and the hidden heart. So the specific duties. For a Druze initiate, loyalty means consistent ethical conduct, right?
Yes, absolutely. And protecting the secrets of the faith, that's huge.
And obedience to the divine hierarchy. The imam and the ukwal, the wise ones.
The ukwal, their role is key, acting as guardians.
And also a refusal to compromise spiritual truth for, say, material gain.
That's a big one. The Masonic view definitely shares this focus on conduct. The obligation demands regular lodge attendance, guarding the teachings, the symbols of the craft, and upholding the fraternity's integrity, both in public and private life. There's that idea that the Mason is always on display.
Always on display. But, and this seems crucial, both traditions agree loyalty is primarily an internal thing first, a disposition. For the Druze, you mentioned this concept of Sir, the inner mystery.
Yes, the Sir. It's described almost like a divine spark within, something that recognizes the path instinctively. So betrayal, from that perspective, is actually betraying your own divine nature, your inner truth.
Wow, okay.
And Freemasonry conveys this same idea, but often through allegory. The candidate is told, the secrets of Masonry are to be kept in your heart as a secret trust. So fidelity isn't just about keeping quiet, it's an inner attitude, reverence, dedication.
And betrayal, in both cases,
Right.
the sources call it a disfigurement of the soul. It's a powerful language.
It really is. It underscores the gravity.
Which brings us perfectly to section 3, the furnace of testing, loyalty under trial. Historically, the Druze faced intense persecution. Their very survival often depended on this deep internal loyalty.
Absolutely. And this history is the context for the practice of taqiyya.
Right, the concealing of beliefs for protection.
Exactly. Now, taqiyya often gets misunderstood, sometimes painted as deceitful.
But the sources we looked at really emphasize a key point here. It's framed as a strategy for preservation, not spiritual betrayal, as long as that internal loyalty, that Sir, remains totally intact.
Precisely. The outer form might yield, but the inner core holds fast. It's loyalty tested by historical fire, by real-world danger.
A pragmatic necessity, almost.
You could say that. Now, Freemasonry teaches a similar lesson about testing, but primarily through symbolic trial.
Right. The degrees themselves are moral tests, aren't they? Moments of uncertainty, symbolic death, resurrection, all demanding trust and sticking to that obligation.
Yes, the trial is internalized, presented through ritual and allegory.
And the ultimate Masonic metaphor for this has to be the story of Hiram Abiff in the Master Mason degree.
Definitely. Hiram represents fidelity unto death. his refusal to betray the secret, even under extreme threat,
He chose death over disloyalty.
making him the enduring symbol of that unshakable commitment. It raises a really important question, doesn't it? Both systems use suffering and testing, historical or symbolic, as the crucible, the furnace, proving the oath has to be lived, not just spoken once.
That's a great point. It has to be lived, and lived constantly. Which takes us to Section 4. The long path and the gravity of disloyalty. Loyalty demands constancy. For the Druze, this path unfolds over lifetimes because of their belief in reincarnation, Tanasuk.
Right, Tanasuk. That adds a whole other dimension. Your fidelity today directly impacts your spiritual opportunities, your progress in the next life.
So the commitment is, in a way, eternal.
It really is. The demands are ongoing. Freemasonry also demands long-term loyalty, though typically framed within one lifetime. It's seen as a blueprint for self-development over years, decades even.
A lifelong work.
Exactly. There's that powerful image used in the sources. As the plumb line remains vertical, so the faithful Mason stands upright before his God and brethren. It's about sustained integrity.
Standing upright through everything. So what happens if someone breaks that covenant? The consequences. For the Druze, apostasy, betraying Todd, is seen as severing you from the silsila,
The chain of light.
which sounds incredibly serious.
It means losing that metaphysical connection to the community, the teachings, the guidance. It's a profound spiritual isolation, impacting potential enlightenment across lifetimes.
Okay. Now, in Masonry, disloyalty can lead to expulsion from the lodge. That's a social consequence.
It is, but the sources strongly suggest the deeper concern is spiritual stagnation. Failing the obligation you freely took.
Ah, okay.
Albert Pike put it very starkly. Treason in the soul is worse than treason in the state, for the one destroys the temple not made with hands.
The inner temple. Your own potential self.
Exactly, that's the real loss.
But interestingly, both traditions seem to hold a space for redemption, maybe. The discipline is described as medicinal.
That's right. It's corrective, not just punitive. There's a path toward purification, a hope of return, if the commitment is renewed with genuine sincerity.
So discipline aims for healing, ultimately.
Ideally, yes. And maintaining this whole structure requires active guardianship. For the Druze, that's the role of the Ukwal. They preserve the teachings, guide the community, maintain vigilance. Their loyalty is expressed through stewardship.
And in Masonry, that falls to the officers and past masters, ensuring the rituals are correct, the moral teachings are upheld.
And actually lived by the members, yes.
Yeah.
In both systems, the truly loyal eventually become guardians of the path for others.
So, wrapping this up,
Oh.
we've really unpacked some profound similarities, haven't we? Between the Druze loyalty to Todd, that existential alignment, and the Masonic obligation, the lifelong spiritual pact.
We have. In
Yeah.
both, fidelity isn't just a rule, it's the spiritual muscle, that silent covenant written on the heart. It sustains the initiate through isolation, through trial, whether symbolic or real.
It's the core engine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the reward. It isn't material wealth or status. It's illumination, inner peace, the deep satisfaction of having stood firm in your own truth in the light. Loyalty truly is the compass on an eternal path.
A compass on an eternal path. I like that. So what does this all mean for you, listening in? Whether you follow a specific path or just value your own integrity? Here's a final thought to mull over, something drawn from the essence of this material. How do you personally renew your deepest commitments? Your vows to yourself, maybe? How do you ritually or internally reinforce your dedication to your own inner transformation? Something to think about.